Take this branch of peace I offer, and all the love I have inside. This can't go on, and this fight can't be won. I believe in my heart we can change if we all make a brand new start right now. And for fear you close your mind to the beauty that surrounds you nigh, and dogma forced upon your mind, and you're breathing somebody else's lies. Oh, this can't go on, and this fight can't be won. And I believe in my heart we can change if we all make a brand new start right now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Right now.
Good morning and welcome to the Sri Lanka Morning Show. Today we have invited Shivantha, who is a singer, songwriter and actor, here to our studios. Morning, Shivantha.
Morning, Imran. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Lovely. And the song that you just sang
Yes.
before we began, was it one of your original compositions?
It is. It's called Take This Cup, and it was recorded on my last album, which I recorded in New York.
Lovely.
Yeah.
The reason why Shivantha is also here is because he will be performing at Art in a Glass, which is a fundraiser which is being done for Sri Lankan musicians who are in need out there due to the pandemic. And Shivantha has very kindly agreed to perform at Art in a Glass on the 10th of July at the 26th Advantage Galleries, 26th Advantage in Hyatt, at the gallery from 3 o'clock onwards, and we'd love all of you all to come out there as well. But more about Shivantha now. Shivantha was born in England, lived in Sri Lanka, in Hong Kong, in Italy, in Australia, and New York City. That's a wide variety of countries that he has lived in. Sri Lankan parents, and just to put it very, very in a condensed form, he comes from a family of doctors. He himself is a qualified lawyer here in Australia. But having put all that aside, he has gone into music, acting, and films. And he has acted in Funny Boy. And I'll leave it to Shivantha to explain how he has managed to do all this, because I heard a rumor that he was actually busking in New York as well. So over to you, Shivantha.
Thank you, Imran. Look, you're right. I am a qualified lawyer and a barrister and a solicitor. And I'm really grateful for that training and the fact that I went through it, because it's mine at the end of the day. But I think we all have a function in this world, and I think the more you dig, the more you respect who you are as a human being. And I always knew I was creative. And I finished law, and then I took a one-way ticket to New York City, and I studied at the oldest conservatory there, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I did a 3-year course there, and I've been working in film and TV and voiceover work and theatre work and commercials. Done a lot.
So this was all in New York?
This was all in New York, yes.
And then how did Funny Boy come about?
Funny Boy. So Funny Boy is one of those stories. I came to Sri Lanka and I got a phone call from an actress who was on the show, who was in the film rather, and she said, look, Deepa is looking for someone. Can I give her your stuff? And I said, sure. Deepa Mehta, yeah, of course. This is the director of Water, an Academy Award nominee, And we met for coffee. She was in Sri
Lovely.
Lanka at the time. It was just one of those serendipitous things. And I met up with her in Colombo, and we had coffee, and she said, look, my instincts are good. I think you'll be a great Jagan. And I said, okay. She said, I'll send you the slides. You have a audition. Send me the tape, and we'll go from there. So I shot the audition. I sent it to her. And in typical Deepa fashion, she was like, no, not quite. Can you please make these changes and do it like that? And she gave me about 6 different changes. I reshot it and sent it to her. And then she just calls me and says, looking forward to having you on board. I will send you a contract.
Lovely.
It was one of those things, after working for 10 years in New York, to get a break like that is fantastic, because you're working with somebody who does it for the right reasons, Imran. She champions the underdog. She tries to bring light to the people who don't have a voice in whatever movie she makes.
And you were globetrotting at this time, because obviously from New York you had come to Sri Lanka and you were just there at the right moment.
At the right moment, yeah. I had been to India for a few weeks. I was in a Hindu ashram for a few weeks, just for fun, you know. Just my parents are both Buddhist and Christian, and I grew up going to the temple and going to church. And I thought I'd just go and see something else, see the world through a different lens. So I was in this ashram for 6 weeks, and then I came back to Sri Lanka, and then I met up with Deepa, and so we worked on that, and we shot that in 2019, and it's currently on Netflix.
You mentioned your parents.
Yes.
Your father happens to be my doctor here in Australia.
That he is.
Yeah. How did they take it? Their son not going into the medical profession, one,
Right.
and then qualifying for law,
Right.
which would have been, yes, all right.
Yes.
And then suddenly deciding to throw everything up
Right.
and going to acting and singing and drama.
Sure. So you mentioned medicine. In many ways, I mean, I grew up with medicine, Imran. Like, and I grew up during the Civil War, you know, and there was a point in my life where Tati picked me up from school and he took me to the operating theatre. I was 9 years old, and I'm sitting there pulling retractors in a 15-year-old child.
Okay.
And this was because there were riots, there was military curfew, and there were no doctors. People were scared to go for work. So he picked me up and took me there, and I grew up with medicine, you know, my whole life. But coming to Australia, look, I got the marks to go into law, and I'm glad I finished it. Tati was a big catalyst in that, because I had 1 year left to finish law.
Right.
And I told Tati, I said, listen, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, look, your mother and I are okay, right? You started this. You should probably finish it for you.
Yeah.
And that sort of advice is timeless. It's priceless. You can't argue with that also. So
I would do the same with my son.
So I'm really grateful we had that conversation, and I went in and finished it, and I'm really happy that I did that. But they've always known who I was as a person. You know, I've always done everything else under the sun. You know, I've done martial arts, I've played music, I've done everything you can think of from the time I was a child. So it wasn't like the first time for them, you know. And so when I said I wanted to go for New York, they supported me, you know, emotionally, which is the most important thing that the Sri Lankan family can do.
True enough.
Yeah.
True enough. So they always supported you even through this, because
Yes.
I would have imagined that another family with a medical profession would have said, you know, they would have made a fuss about it, or said you can't do that. Or
Sure.
anything.
Look,
so that's great.
Yeah.
I know your dad, and I know how his attitude towards things. Even he comes from a very he has a creative side to him. He has written a couple of books, if I'm not mistaken.
He has. He's written a
And
few
published
books.
them
Yeah, the last
as well.
one was called The Strangers on the Camino, which is about an 800-kilometer walk through France and Spain that he and I did over 6 weeks with backpacks.
Man.
Yeah.
So you act, you sing, you also love the theatre.
I do.
In fact, when we were having this conversation just before coming in here, you mentioned that you love Shakespeare.
I do. I love Shakespeare, Imran. I actually got into Shakespeare through Chaucer. Chaucer's a 13th century English writer, you know.
Right.
One April with the shore sot, the drought of March at Perse to the road. 13th century English, and then I got into Shakespeare, and I remember reading, what was it? Was it Midsummer Night's Dream, or was it Romeo and Juliet? One of those plays. But the richness of the language, and to be able to communicate emotion and to tell a story through words with such richness, it captivated me. So I got into acting through Shakespeare.
And you have also been modelling. Your face is a familiar face here on billboards, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Gosh, Eva, you're a sly one. Huh? So I did a lot of modeling when, back in the day when I was younger, and it's the first kind of port that you open. Somebody says, hey, will you... Actually, my first thing was in Sri Lanka, in some Sri Lankan newspaper when I was 17.
Right.
Some chap had seen me at a party and he said, hey, can we do a shoot with you? And I was like, okay, fine. So that was the first thing, and I still have that. I think it was the cover of some Sunday newspaper. I can't remember what it was called even. But yes, to answer your question, I shot a commercial here for BP Rewards last year, and it's on the internet, it's on TV, and I'm the guy with short hair who walks up with a cup of coffee and goes, BP Rewards, mate.
So you have been modeling as well. So you've virtually done the whole gamut.
Well, you try to do what you can.
What are your latest projects?
So we just had a photo shoot with the band. I've got a band happening at the moment which is called Shivantha and the Dark Southern. So we are looking to record an EP, and we're performing. We've got a gig coming up on the 17th, and I think it's a big venue, and there's about 100 people coming. And I'm also launching a campaign at the moment for a latest single that I'm doing, which is I think COVID has highlighted a lot of things for people, and a lot of people have struggled through COVID, emotionally, mentally, and financially. And I remember just thinking to myself, man, even I have struggled, over time. And I just wanted to say that people aren't alone. Some people have struggled with depression and anxiety, with financial burdens for a few days, a few weeks, a few months, maybe their whole life, So the campaign basically is a song of bring awareness to that, saying, hey, listen, you're not alone. Like, we all go through this, and there is hope at the end of the day. And you have to find that hope inside.
Yeah, I must thank you once again, actually, for agreeing to play on the 10th of July for Art in a Glass, which is our fundraiser. And actually, I'd love to have the viewers here come out there to 26 Advantage Road, 26 Advantage Gallery, to help this. It starts off at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. I think 10th of July is a Saturday.
Yeah.
And you can watch Shivantha in action there as well. And he promptly said he would love to come and play there. So we got bands, we got Shivantha, and we got all of them.
Cup of holy water and meet me on the other side. Take this branch of peace I offer, and